Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for downloading episode 99 of We Got This with Mark and Hal. You know what? There's one thing that I think we can all agree is not even up for debate, and that is that you should be leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you enjoy this show, let other people know about it, and leaving us a rating and a review is a great way to do that. There are always people on iTunes who are discovering our show, and it's important that they know what people like you have to say about it. So go leave that review, make it a glowing one, and you will be helping the people of the world grow. And now, without any further ado, here's episode 99 of We Got This with Mark and Hal. Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all. Weekly episodic, or binge watching.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Okay, this is episode 2, backseat of the car edition.
Yes, we took a break. And
We did.
We were visited by former guest Tommy Hackey and his wife Barb, which was lovely. But now we're back at it. I'm taking my hat off so I can just sweat in the back of this car. It is no longer fogged up. It's all reset back to 1.
And we've moved it so it's out of the direct sunlight.
Yes, although I think we took enough of a break that the sun is making its way back towards the window where you're sitting.
Oh, dear Lord, the sun is chasing us.
So we have a topic from a friend of the show who is also a friend of mine, Tom Zaller, who
Hello, Tom.
is a very talented artist and writer. You might know his work from his series Loving Capes or Long Distance. That is Mr. Tom Zaller. And he has suggested whether it's better. He wants to know. He hasn't suggested this. He has asked this, and we're here to answer it. Whether it is better to binge watch television or watch it weekly episodic.
And shout out to the Hackies, Tommy and Barb, who helped us and are looking at our list of topics and went, oh, yeah, definitely do that one.
Absolutely.
So, Tom, you have been seconded and thirded by Tommy and Barb today. So we had to cover this topic.
Yes, absolutely.
And I honestly feel like for the benefit of society and the benefit of our listeners, we need to cover this topic.
Yeah, this is really a question of whether the convenience of media is, whether we're blinded by it or not. And what I mean is, I think it's easy to say binge watching is great because it is. I like that on Netflix that when Luke Cage was released, it was the entire season. I could watch it over the course of a weekend. That's a fun way to digest stuff. But the real question, I think what we're really trying to figure out here is it actually better? Is more convenient always better?
I will start this off with, I rarely binge watch.
Really?
I don't like binge watching.
Okay.
Because I feel I only binge watch when I am forced by cliffhanger episodes to binge watch.
How do you mean?
Meaning I enjoyed the show 24.
Okay.
So I would watch an episode of 24 and it would end on a huge cliffhanger. And be like, all right, well, I'll watch one more just to see how this resolves.
Right.
And then I get sucked into that one. And then that one is a cliffhanger. And I will look up and I've watched 4 episodes of 24 and I've essentially lost 4 hours of my day or 4 hours of sleep if I'm doing it at night.
Okay.
To me, binge watching is something that happens by accident. I don't sit down and deliberately decide to binge watch. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I think it's become, and a lot of streaming services, pretty much all of them, don't do you any favors in terms of going, hey, I know some of them, I think Netflix did this for a while, like, hey, you've been watching for a while. Are you still watching, or do you want to go outside, or should I call your neighbors, or what is that smell coming from your apartment, or are you sleeping, or are you breathing, or should I
do you have those tiny trees from the movie Seven just hanging up all over the room?
Yeah, exactly. But by and large, those services, once you finish an episode, as the credits are rolling, it's already loading up. You have sometimes as few as 10 seconds to make the choice of whether you're going to stop or keep going.
It's not the choice of whether or not to stop. You have to opt out of binge watching.
That's true.
The show will just assume like, oh, you're going to be here all day. Okay.
Sure.
Like, no, stop assuming that. And don't tee me up the second one. Like, and because of my minimal OCD, having, if I don't catch it in time and that next episode starts.
Okay.
And then I'm like, and I turn it off. And then to have that, like, you've started watching this, continue watching, but it's only like 2 seconds into it. I'm like, know I didn't start watching that. You are trying to trick me.
Does it work?
Yeah. And then I'm like, I just have to get it out of the queue. I just watch it so that I don't have this thing sitting there with a tiny, tiny little red line that is going to get longer as I watch more of it.
Yes. How much television do you watch?
Not a ton, actually.
Really?
I watch a lot of the Food Network. And I try to watch maybe a couple hours a day. Not of Food Network, just like in general. Even that includes like CNN on in the background while I'm cooking.
Does Food Network, cause I haven't watched Food Network in a while, do they do that thing where they'll have like 9 episodes of Throwdown with Bobby Flay on in a row?
Yeah, they do that a lot.
Cause Discovery does that. Discovery Home DIY, where they'll do like
Discovery. I love the Discovery channel. It's nothing but Duck Dynasty all day. You're watching the Discovery channel.
Yeah, it's that and documentary footage of the Sunset Strip from 1987. But on Discovery Home, like one of those channels, they'll do like tiny home builders or tiny house hunters.
Right.
Which they'll start with one and I'll watch and I'll go, oh, this is interesting. Because almost every one of those shows, especially when they're like, first of all, if they're going to buy a home and they're moving, especially these tiny house ones, because they're like, we currently there are 6 of us who are living in 4,000 square feet. We want to simplify stuff. So we're moving into a 250 square foot home that's on wheels. And you just go, oh, this is a show about people who haven't thought things through.
Right.
And then you have the shows like Love It or List It.
I like that that's what you take away from it. You watch these shows just so you can go.
Well, I mean, that's why we all watch. I enjoy the building of a tiny home and I like to see it when it's done, but we all watch that stuff to see not only the finished project, but all of the strife that accompanies it, because people just don't know what the heck is going on or what their choices are or what it means to like, oh, that's right. I forgot we have 5 Malamutes that now have to live in this half an RV for the rest of their lives.
Is there always something that they've forgotten about their lives? Cause I've never seen these shows. I love the idea that like halfway through the episode they go, and then the boat. Oh, the boat.
I forgot we have 9 more kids.
Oh man. Mother, we're all here.
We're going to need a hutch for the orphans. But there's another show. Have you ever seen Love It or List It?
No, I haven't watched any of the home makeover shows except Extreme Makeover Home Edition long ago back in the day.
Yeah, sure.
When Ty Pennington would move a bus and someone would start crying and call ABC an angel sent from heaven, which I actually heard once on the show. And then the chyron for ABC like popped up down in the corner. I was like, you guys are being a little tacky.
Imagine if they'd had the hashtag things that appear on television shows now. Hashtag angels from heaven.
Why? I don't mind a TV show deciding on its hashtag for the show, but don't like make a hashtag out of the plot points. Oh, that's a thing that's been happening that is driving me crazy. Hashtag will she? Oh, you're God. Like, oh, I don't.
And the best is if you go and look like, oh, this is a major network. This is a popular show.
Yeah.
And they put hashtag will she. I'm going to go see who's using it. You know who's using it? Nobody's using it.
Yeah.
All you see is like, tune into this popular show for hashtag will she.
Yeah, that's the, yeah.
And then what is like, my ex-wife stole my car last week. Hashtag will she bring it back? So they just didn't think it through. But, Love It or Leave It is a Canadian show.
Okay.
Where a couple's not happy.
They decide whether or not they want to live in Canada?
They just apologize to each other for an hour. No, they're like, the house we have right now, we moved into it. It wasn't what we thought it would be. We wanted to fix it up, but all these projects aren't done. So one of them wants to move. One of them says we can make the house work. It is almost always the wife wants to move and the husband's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Porches are supposed to be on fire. So it's just like, it's basically like stubborn dudes who won't like, no, you're fine. You don't need the laundry room's supposed to be a mile off the property or whatever.
Right.
Like whatever stuff. It's
things that are inconvenient that we can deal with.
right.
That someone else couldn't.
Yeah.
All right.
And then there's
I say we like I'm speaking for all men
Right.
at this point.
So a realtor comes in and shows them homes. And that's oh man. So there's also a designer who comes in to do the fixes and stuff. But the realtor, my father's a realtor. He's been a realtor for
Where is this going?
almost 40 years. It's just amazing when people go to buy a home that they're not willing. He's been 45 years now. I think he sold real estate. People come in, they're like, I need a house. I need it to be 3,000 square feet. It's got to have 9 bedrooms, an in-ground pool. It's got to have like they're building a house that a child would build with graph paper if you said, draw your dream house. And often it doesn't really exist. So it's people who everything on their list is a must-have. And so the show is like, they go into a home that's beautiful. They're like, I don't like this yellow paint on the wall. I don't know if we can live here. It's just it's so frustrating and I love it. So I'll watch
This episode brought to you by Benjamin Moore. Just paint the damn wall.
More like Benjamin Moore because I keep watching it over and over again.
Oh, I knew we'd eventually get back to what we were talking about.
But I'll watch like 900 episodes of it in a row and it's the same show every time.
Right.
Is there a certain type of show that you're more willing to binge or watch a bunch in a row than another? Like if something, cause Food Network's not,
I will watch.
there's no continuing drama in a Food Network
Right.
show unless it's
a
like
tournament.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I watch a lot of, Chopped. I love Chopped. That's a
Sure.
thing that I can, because it's divided into segments of the appetizer, entree, and dessert. For those who don't know, Chopped is contestants get a basket of ingredients that they have to use to make a dish, and that dish is judged. There are 3 rounds. There's an entree, appetizer, entree, main course, and that's a show that I can just kind of have on while I'm doing things around the house.
Right.
And like peek up and be like, oh, what are the ingredients? Oh, okay. Cheetos and Fun Dip and Chateaubriand. All right, what could I make out of that? All right, now I'll go back to whatever it was I was doing. I'll check in 20 minutes from now and see what they made. Like, I watch TV very passively a lot.
Okay.
I watch nonfiction TV very passively. The news networks and things like Food Network. There's really only a few, like 2 or 3 scripted shows per year that I like to really hang my hat on. I'll watch an episode or 2, but everything's so serialized now that you can't just like pick up an episode of a show like, oh, I'll devote an hour to this new thing that's interesting, because you invariably have to just watch the pilot. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And there are certainly shows like the news, or like I watch a lot of pro wrestling, but it's hard to binge watch. Like if Raw is a 3-hour show, there's no way I'm watching more than one in a row. And
much of Raw is hype.
There is a good amount of hype.
Like they're actually wrestling maybe of that 3 hours?
2 minutes. But
yeah, they're actually in a ring wrestling for 2 minutes of it.
But during, those shows are also, once they're over, you get caught up in the newest episode. So for example, like, the Daily Show. The Daily Show is very of the moment, which makes it somewhat disposable, even though their commentary is sort of lasting. So I'm not going to go and say, you know what? I'm feeling like just binge watching all of the Daily Show from 2011.
I do binge watch the Daily Show.
But from years past?
No, I try to,
you'll do like a week.
I try to stay, up on it.
Sure.
So if I've missed several episodes, I'll just go like, yeah, I'll watch the last 2 weeks of the Daily Show, because that's about all that's available anyway for me. But I'm way more, and that brings up a good point about this. I'm way more interested in binge watching a half-hour show than an hour-long drama.
Okay.
Because binge watching has been determined, by the powers that be that are not us, to be watching, between 2 and 6 episodes of the same program in one sitting.
Okay.
I guess anything more than 6 is problem watching instead of binge watching. At this point, it becomes serious trouble. You've watched the same show for 6 hours. The audience for the Pulitzer Prize winner Angels in America didn't even do that. Go outside.
Can you? I've just binge watched Angels in America.
Yeah.
Boy, oh, Kushner took me for a ride, y'all.
I like the idea that seeing a very long and epic 2-part play is considered theatrical binge watching if you do the matinee and the evening performance.
I just binged Equus, man. I'll tell you, that dude was naked. So
that's a lot. That's a lot of horse meat.
Was that the New York Times review?
Yeah. Ben Brantley says Daniel Radcliffe in Equus. That's a lot of horse meat.
Village Voice says, hubba hubba. Me likey the horse meat.
And the Elder Wand.
Do you get what we're talking about?
Hey, anyone. Does anyone else know that Harry Potter gets naked in the play Equus? Sincerely, Ben Brantley. And that's what's on the banner outside the theater.
Yes, it takes over the whole poster.
And there's another, on the other side, there's a banner that just says, great, New York Sun.
But I don't mind. A half hour is easier to binge.
Yeah.
An hour long show, if the show's engrossing, you have no sense of how much time has passed, which is why you get to it's been 6 hours.
Yeah. I feel like binge watching is, more of a newly created problem than a solution to a problem. Like having to wait a week for a television show was not a problem that needed solving to me. Waiting a week for an episode of a television show gave me, and I can't be the only one that feels this way, gave me a sense of we're all in this together. Like it was back in the 80s, funnily enough, I was just binge watching a documentary series, about the 80s that, Netflix just dropped from CNN. Mm-hmm. And, they were talking about the Who Shot JR, which was a huge deal. And these great cliffhangers of television that when Lost was in its prime, week to week, people would be talking about what was going to happen on the next episode. And that's one thing that I think we lose with binge watching is everyone watching a television show on their own timeline. I like a national timeline for a television show. It's fun.
It is a little bit harder for an entire country or an entire group of people to have a shared experience now because of that. Mm-hmm. I think of, you're saying Who Shot JR. I'm saying Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Where it was Who Killed Laura Palmer. Mm-hmm. And you couldn't binge watch to get the answer. Now, what's great about now is then you'd have to use VCR Plus or just be home, have somebody home to tape it for you to catch up on older episodes.
Gosh, VCR Plus. Yeah. I forgot about that.
If you don't remember VCR Plus, the way VCR Plus worked was every television show had a 4-digit code and you would punch it into VCR Plus and then your VCR would know to turn on and record that show and stop recording. So it was sort of like the primitive version of a DVR.
Right.
But then all you could really do is catch up on programming. You couldn't watch ahead and watch a whole season. You wouldn't get the spoiler that Laura Palmer was actually killed by natural causes. She just died in her sleep and it was a shame. But
spoiler. When's the new Twin Peaks come out?
I don't know. So Eric Edelstein is in
Eric
the new,
Edelstein,
our
shout
friend.
out to Eric. Is in the new Twin Peaks. We're very excited.
Yeah. So you don't get that shared experience. Now it's you haven't seen, House of Cards. Let's say there are 3 seasons of House of Cards. I will expect that you've seen all of them as opposed to, I just got started. I'm watching one every week. It seems why haven't you caught up yet?
Yeah.
And that's an impatience that we didn't have.
And also people nowadays, you will want to talk to someone about a show. It used to be easier. Now we sound like old men going, it used to be easier to do this. But there really is something magical lost in if I knew that, you and I enjoyed the same television show.
Right.
And I would come to you and say, oh my gosh, did you watch this week's episode?
Right.
Of course you did. And we could talk about it and be all caught up. Now nobody is on the same page. You can't, unless you know a person has for a fact watched a show that you watched and binged a show that you binged.
Right.
And is is enough of a fan that they are always caught up. Now it's you can, I have a friend who just got into Game of Thrones. It's his absolute favorite thing in the world, but he's only 6 episodes in.
Right.
And that's the problem with it. You don't hear oh my gosh, yes, let's talk about the characters and the stories and the things that we relate to. Now it's, just wait.
Right.
Just wait. And that drives me crazy. Like it gets better. It gets even better. Like, this season's going to take a little dip. Just get through it. Just get through that dip.
You know what? Tell me what you think about episode 10 when you get to it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you anything.
Yeah.
I just want you to, I just want to hear your reaction to it.
I don't need you to be my episode Yoda. You know what? What happened to the days of us being on the same page? This is sincerely grumpy old gag.
This is the episode that we both, become,
curmudgeons.
Yeah. We both become what's his name from 60 Minutes.
Andy Rooney.
I wanted to say Ed Rooney, which is the principal from Ferris Bueller's
I wanted to say Art Carney, which was Ralph Cramden.
Yeah, we've both become Andy Rooney. Or like, you remember when we used to have to watch episodic television? You have to watch it every week.
Everyone was on the same page.
Yeah,
I'm doing a terrible impression. I don't know what he sounds like.
And it's a question of like, if you were born in the age of DVR and the age of binge watching, is it like, what have you really missed out on? There still is a lot of people, like people do get caught up because a lot of people binge watch now. So you do have that experience of the entire series. And there is something to like, it's a great series. Like for Luke Cage, I've told people like, I love it. I think it is great. It took me 3 episodes to get acclimated to it. And then once I was in, I was all the way in. And I think I figured out why. Then it became a discussion of like, why do you or don't you connect with it, and how do you get there? And that so there's still.
So what is the story? It's just, it's Marvel, but it's not. Why did it take you so long?
Because I'm a straight white dude and it takes place in Harlem. So the things that were in it.
That's fair.
Aren't things that I necessarily experientially relate to. And once I realized, like, I was like, why? I loved it off of the bat, but I was like, what is it about this that I'm not connecting with? And once I realized that, I'm like, oh, well, I'll never connect with it on that level, but I can
enjoy the heck out of a comic book show.
Yeah, well, no, I can appreciate like what it's saying about that cultural experience.
Right.
And not that I would profess to like, I watched Luke Cage.
Now I understand the black experience.
I know what it's like, but at least like parts of that, like I can appreciate some parts of that culture or at least the differences a lot better. And that made it even more enriching for me.
Right on.
So, but there is something to, here's the thing, binge watching has sort of ruined me. You know, when you move out to LA, if you've been somewhere where it's really cold, for the first year you're here, you're always warm. You're like, this isn't cold. Now, in the morning, if it's 55 degrees, I'm freezing. So I'm acting like cold isn't cold anymore.
Guy from Philadelphia.
I know, who went to school in Syracuse, which is like the ice planet Hoth. Yeah. It is a snow globe with a college in it.
Yeah. Then every once in a while they shake and it snows.
Yeah. But like I'm impatient now. I know we as a society are impatient. Everything's got to be right now. But like I have a podcast I love listening to.
We Got This with Mark and Hal.
It's called We Got This with Mark and Hal. And they only put it out once a week. Like my favorite one of my favorite podcasts to listen to is called Something to Wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. And it comes out every Friday at noon Eastern time. That's the release time. And I'll listen to the episode when it comes out within like a day or two, 'cause it's like a 3-hour episode. And then I have to wait. And like 3 days in, I'm like, I should check the feed and see.
Isn't that great though?
Again.
That's what's exciting. The anticipation is a beautiful part of it.
It is. And it's okay. Like it's the that problem of like, it's not out yet and I want it is definitely a very privileged problem to have. But the way we can consume television right now and a lot of stuff has changed my attitude towards it. So I think what we're determining here is whether that's a good or a bad thing. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes, because right now we're going to
This car is getting so hot.
It's real hot. I see more steam forming and we're going to take a brief break, because the one thing that we do not skip here, unlike some of your binge watching television, is commercials, because you got to hear about all the other great shows happening right here on Max Fun.
That's right. Let's binge listen to some commercials.
All right, please open that door.
Oh.
The three of you enter a cave of a big red dragon and is standing over a hoard of precious golden rubies. And he says, "What do you do, adventurers? I'm a dragon man."
I cast fire on him. It's very good.
I address the red dragon and say, we're the hosts of The Adventure Zone, a podcast about family playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Very good synergy. Commit to the bit.
I rolled to charm new listeners. It is very effective. Against all odds.
Everybody, we're the McRoys. We host The Adventure Zone. It's a podcast where we play Dungeons & Dragons together. It's a comedy podcast. We don't take the rules too seriously because there's a lot of them and we did not take the time to learn them. Maybe listen to us. We come out every other Thursday on the Maximum Fun Network. You can find us on iTunes or on MaximumFun.org. I think this promo's a critical hit.
Mugs, shirts, stickers, patches, tanks, and more are yours for the purchasing at MaxFunStore.com. Hey, you already love the podcasts, so why not take this to the next level and outfit your home and bod with our merch? MaxFunStore.com. Because if you have to wear a shirt, it should be one of ours.
All right, we're back.
Don't sound so excited.
No, it's still hot. I'm happy
really
to be
warm
here.
in here.
It's nice to be able to record in the same sort of room.
So I can just pat you on the knee.
You patted me on the knee during the last episode. I thought they don't get to see this, but also we don't get to have this kind of closeness.
It's very nice. Maybe not this proximity all the time.
Maybe not.
Because we're in a very hot car.
Just wait until next week when we record in a straitjacket.
Oh my God. Let's talk a moment. I think you and I, maybe it's just us being grandpas and non-millennials. We are right at both of us are pretty close to the cusp of, the millennial Gen X break.
Yes, we are solidly in Gen X, but almost to the millennials.
Well, you're more solidly than I am.
This is true.
The cutoff is right around 1980, and I was born.
Oh, I thought it was 84.
I've heard as far as 84, and I've heard as early as 80.
Okay, so by that premise, we are both Generation X, but
right.
But one of us closer to 80.
Because what birthday are we celebrating tomorrow, Hal?
Tomorrow I turn 40.
Oh my goodness.
That's right. I can't wait to pee a bunch of times in the middle of the night.
And on your 40th birthday, it's your man birthday, right? That's what they call it. It's like your bar mitzvah.
Yeah, I'm going to become a bar mitzvah.
They call it the over the hill. They call it a lot of great adult male things. Mm-hmm. What are you doing tomorrow? What adult thing are you doing tomorrow for your adult birthday?
Well, I thought long and hard about it, about what it would mean to be a mature adult, responsible, moving into the next phase of my life. So Jen and I are going to Disneyland, and I've made reservations at Ariel's Grotto and Blue Bayou, so I can eat breakfast with all the princesses and then have dinner inside Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh man, this is why you and I are friends.
Yep. I will never grow old.
No, I love it. Well, an early happy birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you.
Now let's get back to the binging of television. Now, I say this to say we are not millennials. The millennial, experience is slightly different in this regard because this is a group that has come of age in the time of binge watching. Right. We did not. So we, not only do we remember the joys of everyone being on the same page when it comes to a television show.
Sure.
We also, because we are slightly older, we look at medical things online. And I have brought up, a lot of, and this might swing us in the direction of regular weekly episodic watching.
Okay.
There are a lot of really unhealthy things that come out of binge watching television.
Okay.
You put yourself at double the risk of premature death if you watch more than 3 hours of television a day.
What study is this?
This is from the Journal of the American Heart Association.
What? Oh, because you're not moving?
Because you're not moving. Sitting for long stretches of time increases your risk of health issues, including diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, even if you also exercise regularly. So if you're going to binge watch, watch from an exercise ball, watch while standing up, put a TV in front of the treadmill.
You can do exercises.
Another major medical problem that comes from this is it actually does serve as a physical addiction. You can get addicted to the euphoric highs of the cliffhangers.
Is that also according to the heart? Eventually we're going to get to like the Brownville, Kansas Parents Council.
Right.
Says.
This is, if you'll give me half a second.
Mm-hmm. I just want to point out that this deep research is being done on Mark's iPhone.
Yeah.
And this article has the most stock photography possible, including like just a shot of a bunch of laptops. Here's a guy who's resting his chin on his hands as he leans in watching TV. Here's a woman with a soulless smile as she thinks about the deterioration of her marriage and what she could have been if she had just kept working hard instead of settling for some guy named Steve and following him to San Antonio.
Shout out to Steve.
Yeah, we love you, Steve.
All right, here's another bit of it, from MarketCast, the entertainment research firm.
Okay.
50% of binge watchers prefer to watch alone. 98% watch at home. So it's a very isolating activity. So
Okay.
the problems, the social and medical, I guess, problems so far are, twice the risk of death.
Okay.
Which seems high.
Uh-huh.
It makes you a bit antisocial, and you could get actually addicted to the rushes. Now, here's what I think is interesting.
All right.
The psychological phenomenon hedonic adaptation, which is this is quoting Sonia Lyubomorski, PhD, of a professor of psychology at UC Riverside.
Okay.
It's basically you buy something new, get excited about it. It gets old. You're not excited about it anymore.
Okay. So everything ever.
Yeah. So you start to like your shows that you liked a lot less.
So binge watching a show will diminish your enjoyment of it.
Yes. Binge watching a show will diminish your enjoyment of it. It will, make you antisocial. It will lead to addiction. Another thing this talks about is depression that comes from ending a series. Or getting caught up on a show, that it actually depresses you to watch a series finale or get all caught up.
I see, because you've invested I invested all this time and now it's over. But that, you know what?
Oh, let me finish.
Oh, there's more?
Let me finish the recap of all of these.
Please.
Twice as likely to die. Continue.
All right, fine. So now, look, there is still a wait now. It's not it's not a weekly wait. It's more like a year. You watch a series and you have to wait a year for the series to come back. And that I can see as a drawback because there's nothing new to consume from that thing, which may experience, like I've gone through times where there are a series of books and the first two will be available and I'll rip through them. And then have to wait so long that by the time the third one comes out, I can't remember what happened in 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go reread them. And so the series is lost to me. And that was before binge watching was really a big thing. So that's something that could happen no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this other stuff, heart stuff is true. You shouldn't sit and do anything for too long. You should exercise. I do a lot of binge watching on planes.
Mm-hmm.
So when I flew to Florida for the holidays,
what
last
were you
month,
binge watching?
Justified. I'd not seen it before.
Oh, sure.
Which is a great
Super
series.
Christmassy.
It's very Christmassy.
Yeah.
It's in the spirit of Christmas.
Tim O just puts on a cowboy hat and shoots up some rednecks, right?
Yep. You know
Christmas.
all those Christmas carols about Walton Goggins leading a weird backwards church? It's great. Like I watched the first 5 episodes on the plane and it made the flight go quicker. And we, as a family.
Why do you want your life to go quicker, Hal?
I've just got to get through it. I got to get to the other side, man.
I just want to know what's over there.
I'm a flatliner, man. I'm going to get there and learn my.
You want to play that
truth.
flatliner game?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Beep, beep. Oh, we just woke up.
What happened?
What did you binge watch in heaven?
Justified. First 5 seasons.
I watched 91 Chopped.
But during that trip, every evening, Jennifer and my father-in-law and I would watch a couple of episodes of Justified together. So we'd binge watch it together, and he had seen it already, but was enjoying sort of being our tour guide through it. So it can be a group activity. It also can be a lonely activity.
Mm-hmm.
So can anything. Reading can be a lonely, you shouldn't sit and read a ton.
Right.
You shouldn't sit, like there are a lot of things that would fit that criteria if I'm sitting in one place.
That's very true.
Doing a solitary activity.
It's not just television that does this.
Yes.
But it's definitely a popular one.
Yes, like there are physical drawbacks to watching television too much. It is bad for your eyes. It is bad for your circulation, whatever.
On the plus side, though, we are in the golden age of television right now, and there's a lot of it to watch.
Exactly.
So, do you know people that do the watch it at 1.5 speed or watch it at 2x?
No.
I have buddies that do that will turn a television show on at 1.5 or 2x speed. And they will just watch with subtitles on and just burn through episodes of the show.
Is it somebody I know?
It is somebody you know.
Who is it?
It's somebody that's been a guest on this show.
Oh, who is it?
I'm not going to tell you.
I'll find out. I'll find out who you are. I already have some guesses.
All right. Of course you do. So I understand, like, it is a golden time for television and there's a lot to consume, but we don't have to consume all of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're right.
It's tough to get a sampling though. That's why I go back to the whole everything is serialized now. It's tough to just, I would like to watch an episode of this, or I've never seen this show. An episode of that sounds like fun.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that option is there. That option's there too.
True.
When you get hooked, you come in. Like, I started Gilmore Girls a couple months ago just because I'd heard good things about it. I knew there was stuff coming out on Netflix. I wanted to try it. Right. I went through like 5 or 6 episodes of it. Enjoyed it. I haven't been back to it since. But that's because binge watching is something that Jennifer and I tend to do together. We have one television.
Yeah.
And we share it. There are times where, do you and Juliana ever have a show that you're going to watch through together and one of you gets ahead of the other?
No, we've forced ourselves to when we want to watch and stop. We never get ahead of each other on the show, which leads to a lot of shows that we've started watching a few episodes of and then stopped because she'll lose interest and I'll be like, I'm not going to keep going because I told you I wouldn't, or I'll lose interest and she won't keep, you know what I mean? So,
if Jennifer and I are watching a show and she loses interest in it, then I just go, all right, I'm going to hit the gas on this and just get through it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she'll sometimes get into a show. House of Cards was like this, where she watched the entire first season and then the second season came out. She was like, the show is so good, you have to watch it. So I was catching up to her.
Okay.
And she watched some of it with me. Like I enjoy, tell me if you're the same way. If there's a movie that I haven't watched that you love, would you want to see it with me so you get to experience it for the first time again? And sort of, take somebody through it. So that's something that's really enjoyable. Yeah, movie or television show.
Well, if it's a television show, I feel like there's more to watch later. You know what I mean? Like if I'll still have time to watch this. If it's a movie, I know that they're not making any more. I'll be like, I would definitely revisit this movie.
That's right. There's only one Fast and Furious.
Right. Oh, I have news for you, Hal.
What?
You can binge watch Fast and the Furious movies as if it was a television series.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. I think they only got an order for 13 episodes though. We do need to settle on one though.
Yes.
And have we weighed the pros and cons of both sufficiently? I feel like we've weighed the pros and cons of binge watching. The alternative is, I guess, the flip side of those pros and cons, because this is a binary. So,
like episodic television, you don't get trapped.
Right.
If an episode is bad, you're probably not going to come back to watch the next one.
Right.
You get the drawn out suspense. It's a shared experience. But to me, the drawback is that you have to wait. And there was a time, it's not the case anymore because we can record stuff where if you missed it, you missed it. It wasn't coming back on. So this is a convenience that actually is a good thing. You get to control whether you watch it episodic or not. You don't watch.
We're not determining if the existence of single date full season releases exists and like whether we're not debating the merits of it. We're debating watching weekly or binge watching.
Sure.
And I feel like for me if I could only have one, it would be to watch weekly.
See, and if I could only have one, it would be binge watching. Because I put out a block of like, I have 2 or 3 Brooklyn Nine-Nine sitting on the DVR. It's a Sunday. I'm going to spend an hour or so and get through all of them. Or I really love, it tends to be show, you binge watch stuff by and large that's already been out. Like I'm finally going to watch Justified, which is 6 seasons long. I'm not going to watch it over 6 years. I'm going to just burn through it. And I enjoy it that way. The way television is released now, by and large, all these streaming services, those shows are wildly popular because people get into it and they don't have to wait. They go through the whole thing. And if there's a bad episode, then they get over it really quickly and move on to the next because it's part of a larger, it feels like more of a part of a larger work. So I don't think Episodic is going away, but for me, preferentially for how I'm going to watch it, I think binge watching is way better, whether you're catching up or seeing something for the first time.
I will say, I don't know, man. I will say that binge watching, what do you determine to be binge watching? Like one sitting? That's the thing to me is like, I feel like I've wasted an entire day if I watch more than 2 episodes of something.
But if 2 episodes is the minimum threshold for binge watching?
Yeah, I guess binge watching wins purely on a technicality.
Yes.
That 2 episodes equals binge watching.
Sure.
Not happy about how this is ending.
I'm not either, but at least it's ending. Do you know what the average temperature is inside this car?
Like 2,000 degrees.
I've cooked an entire...
It is so hot in this car, and we're getting delirious.
Yeah, I put a whole prime rib on my forehead at the beginning of this episode. It is now well done.
Yeah, which is not how you're supposed to eat prime rib.
Well, I didn't know that.
Hey, did you know this? Donald Trump orders his steaks extra well done.
Yeah, that's not good. We'll
Sorry
cover
to get
steaks in
political.
another episode. That's not even politics. That's just don't eat your steaks well done. Have some respect for the meat, for goodness sakes. Just eat a brick.
Extra well done.
Extra well done.
Not even well done. Extra well done.
You could probably just take a bunch of marshmallows and burn them and bring them on a plate. And somebody who wants really well done, like crispy, well done meat wouldn't notice the difference.
This is perfect. Oh man, we got these,
What?
I don't know. This sounds braggy.
No, come on.
Delete it if it sounds braggy.
I won't delete it.
I just tasted the most delicious thing that was a gift from the Maximum Fun Network. Our Christmas gift from the Maximum Fun Network.
What is that?
Did you not get this?
What is it? No.
It's, these caramel covered marshmallows.
No, I didn't get those.
Really?
I swear.
In a box that said from Maximum Fun.
Maybe it was sent just to you.
That can't be right.
Now we know who their favorite child is. I'll be visiting them and saying, what happened with these marshmallows?
It was just that you mentioned marshmallows. If anybody gets a chance to find caramel covered marshmallows, my God, they are delicious.
Hey, if anybody gets a chance to talk to Maximum Fun, ask why Mark got the chocolate caramel covered marshmallows. Sorry, is it just the 2 podcasts I do for you people? I can't get one marshmallow? I do eat their food when I go there to record.
Well, there you go. They're like, he's had plenty.
They were like, Mark will give Hal one. No, he won't. He won't do it.
No, they're currently inside by the way, we didn't say why in this episode, you and I are sitting in a locked warm
tell
car.
everybody in case you didn't listen to the previous episode.
We didn't say why we are sitting in the car sweltering this episode.
Tell them.
The reason that Hal and I are recording from inside a very hot car is we are sitting in front of my girlfriend's apartment, Juliana. We just moved her into her brand new place yesterday, and I do not have the correct key. So we are locked out, sitting right out in front of the apartment where there's an air conditioner.
Yeah.
And cold water, and my bag that has all my stuff in it.
Oh man.
Is just feet away from us.
And those marshmallows are in there?
And that's why I thought of it just now. Those marshmallows are in there, in that warm house, just kind of probably melting.
Oh jeez.
Yeah. But I really want to make s'mores out of them. Caramel s'mores, right?
Oh man, that sounds good.
Doesn't that sound delicious?
That sounds really good.
You better go over to Max Fun and get you a box of those caramel marshmallows.
I'll just steal them. I'm sure there's somewhere around there.
All right. Look, I don't like how this is ending, but if 2 episodes is technically binge watching, and I do agree that having all of this television from the past be available on demand. If the question were, do you have to stick to the TV schedule or can you watch on demand? I would be 100% for watching on demand.
Right.
But because we said watch a show weekly or binge watch, I tend to err on the side of watch a show weekly. But on occasion, and on several occasions, I will watch a couple of episodes to get caught up. So if that technically is binge watching, then I'm with you on this one.
All right, people of the world, this is an episode about moderation. Yes, binge watching is better than weekly episodic television. Yes, we have moved forward and found new ways to consume media, get it faster, blah, 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 blah. But for goodness sakes, people, stop driving the death rate up by just sitting there watching 800 episodes of television in a row. Get up. Move around. Do you know what deep vein thrombosis is? It's a real threat on an airplane. DVT. Now, you have to exercise, take care of yourself, go outside, talk to people, but also take some time for yourself and watch television that you like. Watch a few episodes. Watch 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. Do it with friends. Explore a new television show together. It does not have to be a solo activity.
Does not have to be Friends.
Friends does not have to be just for you. Friends is for friends. You can enjoy shows with people. You can make it a group activity. You could have a binge party. Some of you probably already do. A little binge party. We're all going to get together and watch the first season of MASH. We're going to do it every week. We're going to watch 3 or 4 episodes. See? Oh, Mark's making that face right now like, that's a good idea.
Like MASH is, I was thinking this the other day. I was like, man, I really need to watch MASH top to bottom.
See? There you go. You're not going to watch it 1 episode per week.
No, the short one's like, you know what? You won. Keep going.
No, we won, Mark. We won because we chose binge watching, which is the best way to watch television. Asked and answered. Thank you, Tom. What a great topic.
It was.
It took us a while to get to it, but.
It did, but we got there, I think. I'm happy with our result.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Just binge watch in moderation.
Binge watch all things in moderation, my friends.
And this topic is covered and cleared and finished and asked and answered and done and in the books. But there are many topics that are not. So please reach out to us on Twitter at WeGotThisTweets or check out the Maximum Fun subreddit. A flame war is probably happening right now.
You can also email us at WeGotThisPodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on Facebook, Facebook.com/WeGotThisPodcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, graphic designer Uri Kelman, Q engineer Jen Alba, and our researcher Kate McManus.
And thanks as always to Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman for our score and theme song respectively. And of course, thank you to you, our listeners. We are sitting in a hot car right now.
For you.
That's how much we care about you. That's how much we thank you for listening to our show. And we hope you continue to. We hope we can bring you some joy in this crazy world and at least settle some of the big questions. You keep asking, we'll keep answering. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin. And don't worry, everybody. We got this. Open the door.
Oh, it's so hot.
We got this.
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Listener supported.